here. But anyway, welcome everybody. I think I just want to start really by saying that we're ruled by psychopaths, aren't we?
Yes,
It's very appropriate, I think, that we are here opposite Downing Street this morning, and on this day, on this 78th anniversary of the dropping of the first atomic weapon on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. Can you hear me better now? Yeah, sorry about that. But you know, that mindset, as Richard has pointed out, I mean, there was no need to drop the atomic bomb on the city of Hiroshima. It was, as Richard has said, to send a very clear message to the Soviet Union. It was an expression of the United States' offensive power. And that same mindset exists in the minds of the political class to this very day. And we have to ask ourselves, why does NATO exist? I mean, Richard touched on this point as well. We were told, weren't we, that when the Soviet Union collapsed, we were going to benefit from a peace dividend. The Warsaw Pact dissolved. But far from the peace dividend being a benefit to the people of Britain and across Europe and indeed the United States of America, we saw NATO actually expanding. It's now nearly twice the size that it was when the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991. So what's the purpose of NATO? Essentially, it is a muscle man for Wall Street. It's a vehicle for the military-industrial complex, because war is incredibly profitable, isn't it? You can only use a missile once. And billions, over $100 billion have been sent by the United States of America. Billions of pounds have been sent by the British government. And we've got 14 million people living in poverty in the United Kingdom. People can't afford to pay their fuel bills and their food bills. And yet we are prepared to send money to prolong a proxy war in Ukraine. It's an absolute outrage and a disgrace. But you know, we hear these politicians talking about the importance of allegedly defending democracy, and this is all about Russian aggression. But let's look at the reality of the situation. This war was provoked by NATO. NATO adopted the Bucharest Declaration in 2008, saying that Ukraine will become a full member of NATO. This is a very clear red line for Russia. Just imagine if a country on the border of the United States of America teamed up with China and Russia in some sort of military pact. They wouldn't wear it, would they? Some of us in the audience, I'm sure, remember the Cuban Missile Crisis. The Monroe Doctrine, actually, of the United States stipulates that they will not tolerate any such alliance taking place on any country on the continent of the Americas. So it seems that, you know, it's okay for the United States, but not for anybody else. So it's very clear that this war was provoked. Not just the Bucharest Declaration. We then saw a coup in Ukraine that was backed by the EU and by the United States. We then saw the regime in Kiev basically declaring war on the Russian-speaking East Ukraine. 14,000 people had lost their lives by the time of the start of the military operation by Russia in 2022, and they completely ignored the efforts by Russia that were put forward in December. A peace and security proposal was just dismissed out of hand by NATO. So there was no need for this war to have taken place even days before. But if you actually look at the evidence, this war, not just me saying that it was provoked, and it's not just things like the Bucharest Declaration. You've got articles in journals like the Atlantic Council talking about the strategic case for risking war with Russia. The US Defense Department even commissioned an inquiry a study by the Rand Corporation looking at how Russia could be weakened. This is about, as Julian Assange talked about, another forever war. It's about weakening Russia in order to balkanize Russia, because there are rich pickings to be had by breaking up Russia. So it's an existential threat to Russia, so little wonder that they've responded in the way that they did. And of course, shortly after the war started, it could have been ended. There were peace negotiations and Boris Johnson was dispatched to scupper those negotiations. So the war is still going on. It's an absolute tragedy for all the people that have been affected by it. And there was a piece in the Wall Street Journal of all publications, I think just a few days ago, talking about the number of Ukrainians who are now amputees as a result of this war. And they say the figure is in the order of 50,000 people. That's even higher than the number of amputees in the First World War. What an absolute disgrace. What a shame on these countries which are forcing this war to proceed. So it's crucially important, I think, therefore, that we recognise what this war is about. This is about fossil fuels. It's about plundering Ukraine. I don't know if people saw Zelensky in a virtual way online ringing the bell to open trading at Wall Street and saying there are $400 billion worth of Ukrainian assets now up for grabs. It's disgraceful. And there are no voices, or very few voices. Maybe Jeremy Corbyn is the only one that I can think of who's consistently speaking out against this war in the Palace of Westminster. Where are the voices for peace? Where are our leaders? That's why I say we're being ruled by psychopaths in this country. We need sane voices to prevail. We need peace to prevail. Because people are losing their lives unnecessarily. People are being thrown into Zelensky's meat grinder, which is all it is. People being press ganged on the streets of Ukrainian cities and forced into the Ukrainian military to basically face death and severe injuries, maimed for life. And this can't go on. And so it's important that we raise our voices against this madness and call for peace and call on our politicians to actually start to represent us, because in addition to the loss of life in Ukraine that Richard has just spoken about, he also mentioned, of course, the implications and consequences for ordinary people across Europe, with these sanctions blowing back against ordinary people in this country and elsewhere. It's not a madness, and we have to speak up as we're here today, and we need to make sure that we amplify our voices and grow this message of peace. And so I think the message needs to go out from here today: give peace a chance.